What's going on, everybody? We're gonna be breaking down angels are fallen, aliens are fallen angels. We're gonna break down the correlation between missing people and UFO activity. So let's go ahead and connect the dots. First, we're gonna go ahead and break down something that's in the King James version of the Bible. It says that the sons of God, which would here would be the fallen angels, saw the daughters of men that they were fair and took them. Okay. There were giants. Now, when it says they took them, let's go over here. The fallen angels, they fell from the sky onto the earth. So they came from the sky. When you look at the old Egyptians and the ancient tribes and whatnot, they talk about gods that descended from the sky. Okay? Now, all these ancient tribes used to art and writing to document when they met these so-called gods. In almost every tribe you see alien and creatures occupied by spaceships in some of the cave paintings. The ancient pyramids and mega structures were built thousands of years ago, but with technology greater than ours. Okay, to the right it is important to note the words, they took them. So we have these ancient gods that are associated with spaceships and they took the women. In today's world we would call that an alien abduction. Now these are old cave paintings from thousands and thousands and thousands of years ago. You can see the alien craft, the alien outline. Now we move here, another old cave painting. You can see the aliens. Now what's more interesting is this is a very, very old artifact here from ancient times. And within this artifact right here, you can see a helicopter, what looks to be like a car, and then flying saucer, kind of like a jet. Now, how would they know this thousands and thousands and thousands of years ago when they supposedly were sleeping around campfires? This doesn't make sense that they would have this technology. So now let me explain a little bit more. Now, when they said the fallen angels are the sons of God, when they fell upon the earth, they took women. Now you would have to think that this had to be DNA manipulation. Now look at the size. I'm not saying this is the real comparison here, but look at the size of the giant, the fallen one. Look at the size of the woman. How possibly could those two have sex and produce a child with the size difference here? Now we can go here to the skeletons. This would be a tall human back then, 6 foot. Now you can see how large it would get. So how would this creature here mate have a child with this creature here? So the fallen ones were giants themselves and were not human. Just from the size difference between the fallen angels and the humans begs the question, how did they mate? Due to the size difference, they would not be able to have sex the traditional way. The size of a baby Nephilim would kill a normal human, wouldn't you think? They would have to had DNA manipulation extracting female eggs and male sperm. They intertwined the DNA with the fallen angel DNA with human DNA. They gave birth to the Nephilim. They most likely created the first two, male and female, and had them reproduce from there. Because if a human woman could not give birth to a Nephilim or mate with a Nephilim, so the only possible way this could happen is through DNA manipulation. On to the next slide. Now, to prove these are real, this is a man, L.A. Marzulli. He has a series called The Watchers where they document evidence, finding Nephilim skulls, and there's a whole bunch of other cool stuff. You should definitely look into him and his research. But here you can see these skulls that are proven to be real, 100% real, but they are not human DNA. Reminds you of the movie Coneheads. Now, the real skulls, these were found in Peru, believed to be the Paracas people. They were DNA tested and came back not human. The skulls are similar to humans, but with additional bones and head size. So now we know that this is the offspring. This is the creation of from them taking the DNA from human women and mixing their DNA. That's how they got this. Next slide. Now we're going to talk about why I think they came back. And now we're going to talk about the correlation between missing people in states with the correlation of how much UFO activity is within these places. Now we see the top 10 most missing persons within states. We have Alaska, Arizona, Oregon, Washington, Vermont, Maine, Wyoming, Hawaii, New Mexico, Montana. I don't know if you can see that very well. So the states with the most missing people right there. Now keep that in mind. The most missing people come from Alaska each year. Over 600,000 people go missing. Where are these people going? They're not recovering bodies, so something is up. Now I want you to look very careful. States with the most missing people: Alaska, Arizona, Washington, Montana. You see right here. Now, states with the most UFO activity: Montana, Vermont, Alaska, Maine, New Mexico. You see the states with the most missing people also has the most UFO activity. According to UFO hotspots include Washington, Montana, Vermont, Alaska, Maine. The most people go missing where? In Alaska. Now you see all these people, all these states with the most missing people, like I said, have the most UFO activity. Five of the states having the most missing people also have the most UFO activity. Strange. Now we're going to talk about the proof of aliens and UFO. L.A. Marzulli worked with a few who studied and earned degrees for anthropology, which is where they study the human bones. They helped him prove the elongated skulls were not human. The Navy also came out and said UFOs are real, and you can find the clip still on CNN if you go to YouTube and type in UFOs are real CNN. Because the pilots kept running into UFOs and seeing them with their own eyes and on radar, so they couldn't ignore the facts. There are famous fact-proven abduction cases and supernatural phenomenon related, such as, you go over here, first-hand accounts of people who have been abducted, Betty and Barney Hill case, the Allagash waterway abduction case, all famous cases that are real. Now, politicians, even there's politicians who have tried to get UFO documents declassified for the citizens and the population to be able to know about this, but it will not be declassified because the government is working with them, working with the fallen angels in turn for technology. You can find credible people who are willing to say the same thing. They have degrees, they have studied this, and they will admit exactly the same thing. Now right here, up in this corner, oh, whoops, let me go back, I messed up, sorry about that, 1 second. Okay, here, I want you to see this picture. Okay, well, it's not working, but anyways, the picture had multiple different news sources with the captions of the UFOs being real. But anyways, let's move to the next point, which is the groundbreaking discovery. Here's this man, he's an American surgeon, Dr. Roger Leir. He is a university graduate from University of Southern California. Roger Creven Leir was an American pediatric surgeon and ufologist, best known as an investigator of alleged alien implants. Okay, so this is a university surgeon. He has performed 16 successful and documented surgical procedures in which he removed a rice grain-sized piece of material that is not from Earth. The people he operated on claimed to have been abducted and experimented on, and they found an object inside the body every single time. And the object inside the human body baffled the scientists and doctors for many reasons. One was these objects were purposely put into the human body, but yet there were never scars or entry points of how these objects got into the body. The material in each one of these they traced some of the minerals back to the Milky Way. So that's where they're saying this material came from, and somehow it ended up inside of human bodies. You can see this is one of the real implants they've taken out. He has done these procedures on camera, and they have documentation of it with L.A. Marzulli's documentary series called The Watchers. And you can see them actually remove these and learn the backstory behind it. It's insane. This doctor, accredited doctor, he has actually removed 16 foreign pieces of some type of technology from human bodies. Now, before we move on to the next point, just to touch on those implants, a lot of people can say that is the mark of the beast, etc., etc. They're not exactly sure what it is used for since the technology is so advanced, but they believe it is to manipulate human DNA, which goes back to the DNA manipulation that we were talking about before. Now, just to give you proof that they were here, we're going to talk about some artifacts that was found and locations to which things were done that cannot be explained and that were not done by human beings. The first one, we have the series of giant lines that are drawn on the deserts of Peru, where they found those elongated skulls, are an example of extraterrestrial activities on the planet. Drawing such accurate straight lines that would extend over miles was certainly not possible by the ancient man. Hence these lines, which the world knows as the Nazca lines, are believed to be drawn by aliens while they visited the planet thousands of years ago. You can see this from the aerial view. It is insane. Next, we have the mentioning of Sumerian gods, and the Sumerian texts reveal that Sumerians were being used by the gods to harvest the land, which goes back to the Anunnaki theory. These gods are nothing but extraterrestrials that not only use mankind to carry out different activities, but also enlighten them with the knowledge of mathematics and astronomy, which the ancient Sumerians are believed to have developed about 6,000 years ago. See, they used them, but they gave them technology. Do you see the exchange? This is what is going on current day. Next slide. Now let's take a look at ancient UFO paintings in the Madonna with Saint Giovanni. You can see the religious picture. Then you see this little piece in the background. We won't work on it too much, but you can see even the guy is in the background looking up to it. And you can see here that it is a UFO structure. Now, evidence of ancient monuments. The Great Pyramid of Giza in Egypt and many other colossal monuments of the ancient era are examples of engineering and construction skills which are too good to be developed or possessed by ancient man. They were able to put stone structures together, and it was so perfectly fitted you couldn't even put a human hair through it. There are many evidences which point to the fact that these megalithic monuments were constructed under the influence and guidance of extraterrestrial intelligence, which had gained from the visiting aliens. This comes from ancient times. As you can see, they had technology we don't even have today in 2020. You can clearly see a helicopter, a car, a flying saucer, and what looks like a jet. This was pre-flood. They were decimated and had to go into hiding or banish. Speaking of we're talking about the Nephilim. However, you can identify when they return by the sudden boom in technological advances by humankind. We went from horseback to car to the moon before the 2000s arrived. The 1900s was most likely the year they returned and gave technology. If you trace back the first UFO reports, I guarantee you it will line up with those dates. Now that you see the connection between missing people and UFO activity. By looking at ancient Egypt, you see human-animal hybrids such as human body with an eagle head. Then you see the surgeon advancements such as crafting the pyramids and the megalithic structures. They got the same deal. They was destroyed but given technology beforehand. Now you can see we are in the pre-flood days again, as the time does not go on and on, it just circles around. They are working day and night to create hybrids and build their army. The government works with these fallen angels, and that is how they get super advanced technology like HARP, CERN, and 5G. The government or the New World Order wants to reduce the human population, which they do through food, and the fallen angels want humans to experiment on them and use them as a food source. All of these 900,000 plus missing people can fill an entire state. Why are we not finding bodies? The fallen angels get their wisdom from their time in heaven, so we believe the UFOs are spiritual vehicles, and they brought this wisdom back with them, and they trade it to humans, and they come back every so many centuries or whatever.